Welcome to the Fighter Index, MMA's unofficial fighter scoring system. In this video, we're breaking down a high-volatility lightweight matchup between Mauricio Ruffy and Michael Chandler, two explosive fighters built around speed, power, and the ability to change a fight instantly. Ruffy brings sharp striking, dynamic offense, and the kind of fast, dangerous creativity that makes every exchange unpredictable. He wants space, clean reads, and moments where his speed and precision can take over. Chandler brings veteran experience, explosive athleticism, and some of the most dangerous one-shot power in the division. He thrives when fights get physical, chaotic, and built around momentum swings. This is a matchup between rising precision and proven violence. Ruffy wants range, timing, and technical striking where his offense can stay clean. Chandler wants pressure, explosive entries, and the kind of wild exchanges where experience and power can flip everything in seconds. We're going to break down their fighter archetypes, best weapons, strengths and weaknesses, score all 4 pillars of the fighter index, map out the fight dynamics, see what their paths to victory are, and see which fighter holds the edge when the numbers come together for the fighter index composite scores at the end of the video. Mauricio Ruffy is a B-tier dynamic counter-striker built around speed, timing, and creating sharp openings and striking exchanges. He wins by controlling range, using fast reactions, and punishing mistakes with clean, explosive offense rather than constant pressure. His style is fluid, creative, and dangerous because opponents never feel safe entering range. His upside is very high, but with less proven success against elite lightweight competition and fewer tested layers in deep fights, he fits best in a B-tier archetype for now. Michael Chandler is an A-tier chaos knockout artist who's built around explosive power, athletic bursts, and forcing fights into moments of pure violence. He thrives when exchanges are wild. Big hooks, wrestling scrambles, pocket exchanges, and sudden momentum swings all feed directly into his best work. He doesn't need long control sequences because his archetype is about fight-changing moments. His championship-level experience and one-shot power make him a clear A-tier fighter, even with cardio and defensive risks. Ruffy's step-in knee is one of his sharpest weapons because he uses it to punish opponents rushing forward or level-changing recklessly. It creates instant danger against aggressive entries and fits perfectly with his counter-striking style. His second best weapon is a pull counter right hand, and he uses it when opponents overcommit. Ruffy draws pressure, slips just outside the line, and fires back with clean counters that land with real speed and precision. His third best weapon is his kicks to the body and legs, which help control range, disrupt rhythm, and keep opponents hesitant before they can build pressure. They also create openings for his boxing counters later. Michael Chandler's overhand right is his signature fight-changing weapon. He explodes forward with it and can completely flip a fight the second it lands clean. His second weapon is his explosive double-leg blast that gives him another layer beyond striking. When opponents expect the right hand, the threat of sudden level changes forces hesitation. His third best weapon is his pocket left hook. When exchanges get tight, Chandler fires short left hooks with real knockout power. This is one of his best weapons in chaotic firefights where reactions matter most. Mauricio Ruffy's biggest strength is how dangerous he is in clean striking exchanges. His game is built around speed, timing, and explosive precision, allowing him to punish mistakes without needing reckless volume. He needs openings quickly, reacts fast, and turns small mistakes into damaging counters before opponents can recover. What makes Ruffy especially effective is his creativity. He doesn't rely on one predictable attack. He mixes knees, kicks, counters, and sharp combinations in ways that opponents hesitate to enter range confidently. That unpredictability creates hesitation, and hesitation gives him more chances to control exchanges. His athleticism also plays a major role. Fast reactions, sharp footwork, and the ability to strike suddenly from awkward angles makes him dangerous in open space. When he controls distance and keeps the fight technical, he becomes very difficult lightweight to pressure cleanly. Ruffy's biggest weakness is that much of his success depends on having space to work. His striking is most effective when he can control distance, make reads, and punish entries cleanly, but aggressive pressure fighters who force close exchanges can take away a lot of that comfort. If opponents crowd him, push him backward, and make the fight physical, his rhythm becomes harder to maintain. He's also less proven in deep, grinding UFC fights against elite veterans. Fighters who can survive the early speed, force repeated wrestling exchanges, and drag him into long rounds create unanswered questions about how consistently his game holds up under sustained pressure. Because his style is built around sharp moments rather than constant pressure, opponents who can absorb early danger and keep forcing ugly exchanges can reduce the impact of his best weapons. Michael Chandler's biggest strength is his ability to create fight-changing moments instantly. His game is built around explosive athleticism, one-shot knockout power, and the kind of sudden aggression that can completely flip momentum in seconds. He doesn't need long stretches of control, he needs one clean opening. What makes Chandler especially dangerous is that he combines that power with real wrestling threats. Opponents can't just defend the overhand right because the double blast and explosive level changes force constant hesitation. That mix of striking danger and wrestling pressure makes every exchange feel high risk. His veteran experience also matters in chaotic fights. Chandler has spent years in high-level wars and understands how to weaponize pressure, pace shifts, and emotional momentum. When fights get wild, he is one of the most dangerous lightweights in the division. Chandler's biggest weakness is that his style often creates as much danger for himself as it does for his opponents. Because he commits so hard to explosive moments, his defensive structure can break down, especially against patient counter-strikers who are willing to let him overextend. He can be hit clean when chasing finishes or forcing exchanges too aggressively. Cardio is also a major factor. His explosive style burns energy quick, and when opponents survive the early danger and drag him into longer fights, his output and defensive reactions can slow down noticeably. That makes disciplined, high-pressure fighters especially dangerous for him late. He can also become too reliant on momentum swings instead of layered control. If the big moments don't come early, more technical opponents can start taking over round by round. Now it's time to break these fighters down using the Fighter Index scale. We break down each phase of the fight to score each skill to better understand the strengths and the weaknesses of a fighter's game. All Fighter Index scores are based on a scale from 1 to 10. Scores are subjective and can change as a fighter evolves from fight to fight. Here's how the Fighter Index works. Each fighter is evaluated across 4 pillars made up of 4 key skills. Every skill is scored on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 represents a non-functional ability and 10 represents a rare or generational skill. Everything in between reflects a fighter's level in that area, and at the end of the video, those scores are combined to calculate the Fighter Index composite score to see who is the more complete fighter. Pillar 1, Fight IQ and Athletic Tools. This matchup shows a strong contrast between controlled precision and explosive chaos. Starting with Fight IQ, Mauricio Ruffy holds a clear edge, scoring a 7 compared to Michael Chandler's 5. Ruffy fights with more patience, cleaner reads, and a stronger ability to stay disciplined inside exchanges. He's built around timing and decision-making rather than forcing dangerous moments. Chandler, while experienced, often fights more off emotion and explosiveness than layered tactical control, which can create huge opportunities but also major risks. In athleticism, Chandler takes the edge with a 9 to Ruffy's 8. He is one of the most explosive athletes in the division, with rare burst speed, power, and physical strength that can instantly change fights. Ruffy is also a very strong athlete with fast reactions and sharp movement, but Chandler's raw explosiveness gives him the advantage. Stamina clearly favors Ruffy. He scores a 7 to Chandler's 5. He can maintain a cleaner pace over longer fights, while Chandler's explosive style often burns energy quickly and creates major cardio questions if opponents survive the early storm. Resolve also leans towards Ruffy with a 9 to Chandler's 8. Both fighters are dangerous under pressure, but Ruffy's composure and ability to stay sharp in difficult moments gives him the slight edge, while Chandler's toughness is undeniable but often tied to chaotic momentum swings. Because Chandler has the athletic edge, but Ruffy controls the bigger categories of fight IQ, stamina, and composure, Pillar 1 favors Mauricio Ruffy. Pillar 2, Striking and Stand-Up Defense. This is where the matchup becomes especially dangerous because both fighters can end the fight fast, but they create the danger in very different ways. Starting with striking, Mauricio Ruffy holds the edge, scoring a 9 compared to Michael Chandler's 8. Ruffy is the cleaner and more technical striker, with sharp timing, dynamic counters, and the ability to punish mistakes without needing reckless volume. Chandler is still a major knockout threat with explosive power, but his striking is built more around sudden moments and sustained technical control. In the clinch, Chandler takes a strong advantage with an 8 to Ruffy's 6. His physical strength, dirty boxing, and ability to make close-range exchanges violent give him a major edge when the fight gets tight. Ruffy is functional there, but he's far more comfortable in open striking space where he can use range and timing. Striking defense heavily favors Ruffy. He scores a 7 to Chandler's 4. He's much more defensively responsible, harder to hit cleanly, and far better at managing distance without taking unnecessary damage. Chandler's aggressive style creates constant openings, and he can be very hittable when chasing finishes or forcing chaos. In chin, Chandler takes a slight edge with a 7 to Ruffy's 6. He has proven durability against elite lightweight power and can survive huge moments, while Ruffy is still less tested against that level of one-shot danger. Because Ruffy has the stronger technical striking and far better defensive structure, while Chandler brings the clinch advantage and bigger chaos factor, Pillar 2 favors Mauricio Ruffy. Pillar 3, Grappling and Control. This is where Michael Chandler starts to create one of his clearest advantages because his wrestling gives him another path to victory outside of pure striking exchanges. Starting with wrestling, Chandler holds a strong edge, scoring an 8 compared to Mauricio Ruffy's 6. His explosive wrestling has been one of his defining parts of his career, and he can use it both offensively and defensively to completely change the pace of a fight. Ruffy is functional enough to compete and defend himself, but wrestling is not a primary identity in his game. That carries into takedown offense, where Chandler again scores a 7 to Ruffy's 6. His blast double and explosive level changes force opponents to constantly think about more than just striking, while Ruffy can mix in takedowns when needed, but doesn't rely on them as a major win condition. In top control, Chandler keeps the edge with a 6 to Ruffy's 5. He's better at settling into dominant positions and using physical strength to maintain control once the fight hits the mat, while Ruffy has shown less evidence of sustained control against high-level opposition. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Chandler leads with a 6 to Ruffy's 5. Neither fighter is built around submission hunting, but Chandler is slightly more reliable in grappling exchanges and positional safety, while Ruffy's ground game is more functional than dangerous. Because Chandler holds the advantage across every grappling category, especially through wrestling and takedown offense, Pillar 3 clearly favors Michael Chandler. Pillar 4, Defense, Scrambles, and Ground Survival. Most of the defensive layers are very close, but one major difference shows up when the fight gets chaotic in transitions. Starting with takedown defense, both Mauricio Ruffy and Michael Chandler are even at 7. Ruffy is solid enough to stay upright and reset back to striking range, while Chandler's own wrestling base makes him difficult to control consistently as well. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu defense, they stay even at 6. Neither fighter is known for elite defensive grappling, but both are generally functional enough to stay safe and avoid obvious mistakes when the fight hits the mat. Off the back is also even at 5. Neither man is especially dangerous from bottom position. Both are far more focused on getting back to their feet or reversing position than attacking submissions from guard. The biggest separation comes in Scrambles, where Chandler leads with an 8 to Ruffy's 6. His explosiveness, urgency, and wrestling instincts make him much more dangerous when positions start changing quickly. He can turn bad moments into reversals or dominant positions fast, when Ruffy is more comfortable when fights stay clean and structured. Because the early defensive layers are even, but Chandler is significantly stronger in Scrambles and chaotic grappling transitions, Pillar 4 slightly favors Michael Chandler. This matchup is a clash between clean technical striking and explosive chaos. Mauricio Ruffy wants range, timing, and controlled exchanges where his speed and counter game can slowly separate him over time. Michael Chandler wants pressure, momentum swings, and violent exchanges before the fight ever becomes technical. In Pillar 1, Ruffy's edge in fight IQ, stamina, and composure give him the advantage in longer, cleaner fights where pacing and discipline matter most. Chandler is the more explosive athlete, but the longer the fight stretches out, the more important Ruffy's control and efficiency become. On the feet in Pillar 2, Ruffy is the cleaner and more defensively reliable striker, especially at range where his counters and kicking game can punish Chandler's aggression. But Chandler's power means every exchange can still carry danger, particularly if he can force pocket exchanges or trap Ruffy near the fence. In Pillar 3, Chandler's wrestling completely changes the dynamic of the matchup because he forces Ruffy into constantly thinking about level changes and clinch pressure instead of focusing on striking reads. Even failed takedowns can disrupt Ruffy's rhythm and create openings for Chandler's power. In Pillar 4, the biggest thing to watch in transitions is how Ruffy handles chaotic scrambles. Chandler is extremely dangerous once positions start rapidly changing, and his explosiveness can turn messy exchanges into dominant moments if Ruffy loses structure or gets caught reacting instead of resetting. Now we look at each fighter's path to victory based on what we learned from the 4 pillars. Mauricio Ruffy's path to victory is built around keeping Michael Chandler at range, forcing him into clean striking exchanges and making Chandler pay every time he rushes forward looking for chaos. The biggest comparison is Ruffy's 9 in striking and 7 in striking defense against Chandler's 8 in striking and 4 in striking defense. That defensive gap is massive. Chandler is dangerous offensively, but he can be hit clean when he explodes forward, and Ruffy has the timing and precision to punish exactly those mistakes with counters, knees, and long kicking attacks. Just as important is denying Chandler's wrestling momentum. Chandler's 8 in wrestling and 7 in takedown offense compared to Ruffy's 7 in takedown defense means Ruffy doesn't need perfect defense. He needs disciplined reactions and enough takedown resistance to keep forcing Chandler back into striking. If he can make Chandler repeatedly fail on entries and takedown attempts, the fight starts shifting heavily in his favor as the pace slows. Ruffy also holds a 7-5 edge in stamina and the fight IQ edge 7-5. That means the longer the fight goes, the more should move towards his world. Chandler is most dangerous early, but Ruffy's goal is to survive the early storm, stay clean, and make Chandler fight longer than he wants. For Ruffy, the fight is about discipline, range control, and punishing aggression. Keep it technical, force Chandler to overcommit, and let clean counters decide the fight. Michael Chandler's path to victory is built around breaking Mauricio Ruffy's rhythm early, forcing close exchanges, and turning clean technical fight into the kind of explosive chaos where his power matters most. The biggest comparison is Chandler's 8 in wrestling and 7 in takedown offense against Ruffy's 6 in wrestling and 7 in takedown defense. Even if he doesn't land every takedown, the threat alone changes the striking. It forces Ruffy to think about level changes, slows down his counters, and opens up the door for Chandler's biggest weapon, his overhand right. He also needs to attack Ruffy's weaker clinch game. Chandler's 8 in the clinch compared to Ruffy's 6 gives him a major advantage in close-range exchanges, where dirty boxing, short hooks, and physical pressure can disrupt Ruffy's timing and take away the open space he needs to strike cleanly. Most importantly, Chandler needs to make this fight happen early. His 9 in athleticism and explosive bursts are his biggest weapons in the opening rounds, before Ruffy's 7-5 stamina edge starts to matter. He doesn't want a slow technical fight, he wants momentum swings, pocket exchanges, and big moments before Ruffy can settle in. For Chandler, this fight is about pressure, wrestling threats, and forcing violence. Crowd the space, make every exchange dangerous, and never let Ruffy fight comfortably at range. The Fighter Index composite score is not a prediction model. A higher score doesn't mean that fighter is more likely to win. Instead, it measures overall completeness across all 16 Fighter Index skills and shows which fighter has a more layered and reliable total game on paper. When the numbers are finalized, Michael Chandler comes in with a 6.7 Fighter Index composite score compared to Mauricio Ruffy at 6.6. The gap is extremely small and it reflects just how style dependent this matchup really is. In this matchup, Ruffy holds the edge with a cleaner striking, defensive structure, and long fight consistency, while Chandler gains his advantage through wrestling, clinch pressure, and the ability to create explosive momentum swings that can instantly change fights. Across more total phases of MMA, Chandler's wrestling, lair, and scramble upside give him the slight overall edge and completeness, but this is still the kind of matchup where whoever controls the pace and rhythm first will likely control the outcome. And that's the full fighter blueprint and breakdown for Mauricio Ruffy versus Michael Chandler using the Fighter Index. This matchup really comes down to control versus chaos. If Ruffy can keep the fight at range, stay disciplined and force technical striking battle, his timing and defensive structure give him a real edge. But if Chandler can pressure forward and mix in wrestling, turn the fight into explosive exchanges, his power momentum swings can change everything instantly. Now I want to hear from you. Who do you think takes this fight? And is there a skill that you score differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's break it down. And thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for future Fighter Index breakdowns. Catch you on the next one.